program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's up, everybody? A very, very happy Tuesday. Welcome. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for joining us. You could be listening on the Occupy Democrats Network, on the Washington Press Network, the FMAM Dial KSHP, my personal YouTube page, at PTL Radio Show, which is ever growing. And we're very proud of that, and I appreciate you being a part of the show. And, man, do we have a big show lined up for you today. We got some great guests. I'm really excited. Coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by the beautiful and talented Vivica A. Fox, a personal friend of mine, and I got to tell you, she's on the right side of history, and she's going to be telling us why she is supporting Kamala Harris. So we're certainly looking forward to that. And then coming up at the bottom of the hour, man, this guy's a great follow on social media. A husband, a dad, a veteran, and host of Hold the Mic and Behind the Woodshed. Yes, Ryan Sheed is going to be joining us on the show. What a great follow he is. Really looking forward to talking with him. I've always been wanting to link up with him. So that's going to be fun as well. And we have a lot of stuff to discuss today. Yes, we do. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it very much. I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, while I still am not sure what's going to happen a week from today, yes, I can't believe it. We are a week away from Election Day. What I can tell you is this. What happened at MSG the other night is not helping Donald Trump. And Republicans across the land here are curling up into a pretzel trying to make excuses for the people that spoke. And it wasn't just a comedian, you know. Oh, some will say, oh, it was just a joke. It's just a comedian. No, there were plenty others like Rudy Giuliani and others that made horrible statements, horrible jokes about Jews, about black people, about Muslims, about Puerto Rico. You name it, they pretty much offended everybody except right-wing evangelical Christians. I mean, that's really what we were talking about. It was a hate-filled rally. So we have Republicans now that are curling themselves into a pretzel trying to make excuses which are pathetic. And Scott Jennings is just a complete imbecile. He is an absolute embarrassment to CNN. We'll get to that a little bit later because another guy by the name of Mr. Gurdusky made some racist statements last night. We'll get to that a little bit later. But Scott Jennings is just a talking head for right-wing MAGA Republicans and a complete imbecile. I want you to listen to what he said live on CNN with Anderson Cooper, trying to make an excuse for the vile MSG campaign stop. Have a listen to this.
By this, and I totally think it's perfectly fine to be offended by it because some of the things that were said were offensive. But if you're offended by this, people from the entertainment industry saying vile and offensive things in the context of politics, Kamala Harris certainly has entertainment industry supporters that have said vile and offensive things. Not all of them were at her rallies, but if you look at some of the lyrics and other production that they've done, it is terrible, vile, and offensive. So if we're all going to professionally faint tonight, I would just say let's maybe do it on both sides of the line because I'm against it. I said it's not all been done. It's not all been done at any of her events.
Right, it hasn't been done at any of her events. Some of the people who are her most vicious,
some of her people that are her most ardent supporters have said things about women and domestic violence and the treatment of women and other issues that are truly beyond the pale. So I do think when you're in the entertainment industry, you get edgy, and this is what you get when you put them at your political rally.
Complete idiot. First of all, not true. There hasn't been one Kamala Harris rally where they were introducing Kamala Harris with a guest speaker who made racist, misogynistic comments attacking Jews, Muslims, blacks. So Scott Jennings is a liar, and he's trying to make some sort of analogy or comparison to a musician that might be endorsing Kamala Harris to lyrics in one of their albums. Are people stupid enough to think the two are the same? They are not the same. A musician, for example, because I think he was trying to make this correlation pathetic, that somehow a musician that might have some quote-unquote offensive lyrics in an album is the same thing as a speaker going up there at one of Donald Trump's campaign rallies calling Puerto Rico a garbage country or attacking blacks and making racist jokes. Let me be very clear. There is no comparison. Scott Jennings is lying. It doesn't happen at Kamala Harris events, and if it did, she would call it out. Scott Jennings, you're an imbecile with no backbone, and you're a liar, and you're a scumbag. You want to hear J.D. Vance's response? Well, here is somebody who could be a heartbeat away from the leader of the free world, and once again, another spineless Republican curling up into a pretzel when asked about the misogynistic and racist comments and the hate-filled rally at MSG. Here's what J.D. Vance had to say.
Now, I've heard about the joke. I haven't actually seen the joke that you mentioned, but I think that it's telling that Kamala Harris's closing message is essentially that all of Donald Trump's voters are Nazis and you should get really pissed off about a comedian telling a joke. That is not the message of a winning campaign. And most importantly, it's not the message of a person who's fit to be the president of the United States of America. And my own view on this is, look, again, I haven't seen the joke. Maybe it's a stupid racist joke, as you said. Maybe it's not. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to comment on the specifics of the joke. But I think that we have to stop getting so offended at every little thing in the United States of America. I'm so over it.
Literally, ladies and gentlemen, literally, every word out of this guy's mouth is a lie. Kamala Harris has never said that everybody supporting Donald Trump is a Nazi. Everything they say is a lie. She never made that statement, and by the way, she never would. And last I checked, no prominent Democrat has made that statement as well. Now, what some prominent people on television have said, and I will be one of those people on the radio, that some of the language that was used at MSG the other night is similar type of verbiage that Adolf Hitler used. And I believe it was a rally full of bigotry, full of hatred, and full of negativity. So J.D. Vance, again, lies with his excuse for what took place. This wasn't just about one joke, and don't you also find it interesting that, oh, I didn't hear that, so I really can't comment on it. How many times have you heard these MAGA idiots on the far right, when it applies to Donald Trump, oh, well, I didn't really hear that, so I can't really comment on it. How many times have we heard that? But if Kamala Harris laughs a certain way, they'll be the first person to talk about that. J.D. Vance is a liar with no backbone. Same thing with Scott Jennings. And how is Donald Trump responding to this? You see, Donald Trump this morning at Mar-a-Lago had an opportunity to apologize. He had an opportunity to own it and say, hey, you know what? I didn't know that guy was going to speak. Some people in my campaign made a mistake. He could have said anything to own up in the smallest possible way for the hate speech and the racist statements that were made at his rally at MSG. But no, what did he do? The same type of language that he uses when describing January 6th, he used that same language talking about his MSG rally. Have a listen to Donald Trump's response.
I don't think anybody has ever seen anything like what happened the other night at Madison Square Garden. The love in that room, it was breathtaking, and you could have filled it many, many times with the people that were unable to get in. But politicians that have been doing this for a long time, 30 and 40 years, said there's never been an event so beautiful. It was like a love fest, an absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved. And hopefully, they started to say, well, in 1939, the Nazis used Madison Square Garden. Well, and you know what? But can you imagine it? In 1939, the Nazi, they would. But how terrible to say, right? Because, they've used Madison Square Garden many times. Many people have used it, but nobody's ever had a crowd like that. And I tell you what, right now, nobody's ever had love like that. That was love in the room, and it was love for our country. It was really love for our country.
Let me be very clear. Donald Trump doesn't know what love is, because I'm not sure anybody has unconditionally loved him. Donald Trump doesn't know what love is. To Donald Trump, love is having sex with a porn star 2 weeks after your child is born. To Donald Trump, love is sexual abuse. To Donald Trump, love is racist, bigoted statements in nature. That's what the definition of love is to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump doesn't know what love is, because I'm not sure anybody's ever loved him, and I certainly don't think he's ever unconditionally loved anybody else except himself. He's called January 6th a love fest. He's now called his MSG hate fest campaign stop a love fest. But what's hate to Donald Trump? Hate to Donald Trump is the Kamala Harris rally with Beyonce. That's hate. So now we're a week before the elections and for Election Day, and a week before the elections, Donald Trump is trying to convince all of you that he's not a Nazi. So his campaign is going very well. Meanwhile, you have Kamala Harris all over the country with some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry, Republicans, big-name Republicans. Laura Bush just came out to support Kamala Harris, by the way. And Donald Trump has Hulk Hogan attempting to rip off his shirt. That's the difference, ladies and gentlemen. We have 1 week to go. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm lucky to call her a friend, the beautiful and talented Vivica A. Fox will be joining us on the show, and she's going to tell us why she's supporting Kamala Harris. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
In these uncertain times, we need a leader who puts policy over politics.
I'm Ron Quince. I am beyond the bickering and what we see today. I am running to fight for your values, faith, family, and freedom.
Ron Quince stands for safe borders, lower taxes, and lower prices.
Let's take our country back, one community, one vote at a time. I am Ron Quince, and I'm asking for your vote because every vote matters. I am Ron Quince, and I approve this message.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
I'm Shelley Berkeley, and I approve this message.
Shelley Berkeley, a proud Las Vegan who shatters barriers, becoming the first in her family to attend college, and served as UNLV's student body president, serving in the Nevada legislature, the University Board of Regents, and 7 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives. Shelley excelled as the senior VP of the Toro University system. Shelley Berkeley, a dedicated mother and family woman. Shelley has the experience we need as our next mayor. Shelley gets things done.
Paid for by Shelley Berkeley for mayor.
Did you know that 99...
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Kelb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Man, I can't believe we are 1 week out. 1 week out from Election Day. Kamala Harris is coming back to Las Vegas on Thursday. Had a chance to meet Tim Walz the other day. The last week, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton. They're bringing out the heavy hitters, and speaking of heavy hitters and people that I grew up with watching on the big screen, you know, it's always cool when you do radio and you get to meet people that you looked up to your whole life and they even turn out to be wonderful human beings. And the lovely lady we have with us on the line right now, I grew up with her movies, and I'm very lucky to call her a friend. But as great of an actress she is, she's even a better human being, and she is on the right side of history. Like myself, we are both supporting Kamala Harris, the beautiful and talented Vivica A. Fox, joining us right now on the line. Vivica, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, Brian.
It's great to have you on. I really appreciate it. Can I ask you first, before we talk about Kamala Harris, what did you make of that MSG rally that Trump held the other day in New York City? What did you make of that?
Well, I actually did a post on it yesterday. I was just, wow, talk about a new low. I was completely offended. I didn't find any of the humor that supposedly was a joke regarding the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, which I've visited. I was a guest of the military there, and wow, did that really take me aback. I have a lot of friends that are Puerto Rican, and just the blatant racism and disregard for our fellow Americans in Puerto Rico was disturbing. And then to hear some of the other jokes that then came out of it regarding African Americans and the watermelon. I mean, these, I will be so glad, and I hope America wakes up so that we can get past this ugly chapter that comes with Trump. And I just want everybody, yesterday I early voted, and I just am really hoping that we can turn the page to this ugly chapter that's happening in our country right now. But I just thought that rally was the lowest of the low.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, I say this on social media and on this show that I feel like, and you can tell me whether you agree or not, Vivica, Donald Trump could walk out there at one of his rallies with a Klan outfit on and use the N-word, and I still feel like his base of supporters, many of them, would still vote for him. I don't know if you feel that way, but I do.
Oh, gosh. I mean, like today, now he's denied it. He's like, I don't know who that guy was.
Right.
Like, really? But, you know, that's what he does. Deny, lie, lie, lie.
Right.
So your ears don't lie and your eyes don't lie. So we all know what we hear and what we saw. So, you know, y'all, please vote. Please vote.
Yeah.
You know, please help to get our country back on track is what I ask of everyone.
Sure. What will it mean for you personally, Vivica? And we both want the same thing to happen, but if you have a biracial woman who becomes the leader of the free world, I mean, I think it was such a great moment for the country. What will it mean for you personally if Kamala Harris does in fact win next week?
When Kamala Harris wins next week, I'm claiming it.
Good.
There's no doubt in my mind. I'm claiming it.
Good.
It will mean everything to me. The best woman will have won. We need true leadership back at the White House, and we cannot go with the darkness that comes with Trump. I'll never forget where I was in 2000, what was it? When was he in office? 2016?
Yep.
That night was one of the only nights that I didn't sleep. I stayed up the entire night. I was in New York. I was campaigning for Hillary, and we were all just completely stunned. And I'll never forget, I was on my way driving to the airport. I was doing Empire and looked and saw it came up on the side of a building, Donald Trump elected 45th president. And I swear above it I saw a dark cloud that came over our country. And we can't go back. We're not going back.
Yeah, let's certainly hope not. If you're just joining us, the beautiful and talented Vivica A. Fox joining us on the line. We're talking about the elections coming up in 1 week. Have you had conversations with any of your friends that happen to be Donald Trump supporters? Because I got to be honest with you, at this point in my life where we're at, I find it very frustrating and very difficult to really have relationships with anybody these days that are so pro-Donald Trump. Have you had those conversations?
Nah, somebody kind of tells me they're a Trumper, I go left because I don't feel like arguing with anyone. Listen, everyone is entitled to vote for whomever they want to. But I can honestly admit that when you do hear someone's a Trumper, it's a complete turnoff.
Yeah, I certainly tend to agree with that.
Sorry.
I'm with you.
It's kind of like, what?
What are you telling me? You telling me that Kid Rock doesn't turn you on? Come on, Vivica. No, I'm just kidding.
No, hasn't for a while.
I mean,
but, God bless him. No, but you know what I do love about Kid Rock, though? I saw something on Instagram the other day that he was how we should be as Americans. He's like, much love to Eminem. He has his views. I have mine.
Right.
Still a great guy. That's how we should be.
I agree.
But,
I agree with that.
Because if you're a Republican, that's fine. People are raised Republican and conservative views. You're entitled to that. I may not agree with you. I'm a staunch Democrat.
Right.
Always has been.
Right.
But what I don't like is this ugliness that has come. Like I saw a video the other day of a kid in Florida riding down the street. A couple was in the car, had just picked up their kid from the doctor. And this kid, because they had a Harris Walls 2024 poster or sticker on their car, he goes flying by them, flips them off, makes a U-turn, then comes back to the lady's like, what's your problem? And he's like, F you, like, seriously?
That's awful. That is unacceptable. Terrible.
Like, you guys, what kind of juice are y'all drinking?
Yeah.
This dude has got y'all acting like this.
That's totally unacceptable, and I'm so sorry that family had to go through that. That is terrible.
Me too.
Yeah. I will say this, though. I agree with what you said about Republicans, and I respect, people with different views. But what I don't respect is people that put party before the country. And I feel like there are a lot of Republicans out there. There are a lot of, listen, Laura Bush just came out and endorsed Kamala Harris today. We know what the Cheneys have done. I have a lot of respect for these Republicans that risk their Mitt Romneys, the Liz Cheneys, the Adam Kinzingers, right? That risk their political career for being on the right side of history. Even though Mitt Romney hasn't endorsed Harris, at least he voted to impeach Donald Trump, and at least he sees what's in front of him. It's these Republicans out there that know who Donald Trump is, Vivica, right? And they still endorse him. Those are the people I have a problem with.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah.
I think the most admirable thing that we saw this election cycle was when my buddy Joe Biden, I love him to death, I campaigned with him, I love me some Joe, when he put country before ego.
Right.
And turned over the nomination to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Like, how freaking cool is this dude? Like,
Agreed.
He's a legend in my mind that he was like, I wrote him a little love letter on my page, on my Instagram page, and I said, thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you. It took me a day to digest it because I wanted Joe to hang in there and
Right.
fight to the end. I did. I was like, no, Joe, don't go.
He's a good man.
But then when he said, hey,
Yep.
I'm going to be man enough to hand this over to the most qualified person that can and will defeat Donald Trump, and that's Kamala Harris. My heart melted. And then just to see that she's raised the support, $1 billion in a couple of months.
That's
and
great.
The turnout at the rallies are so fun and so positive and full of so much joy.
Yep.
That's what our country needs again. We live in the greatest country in the world. People are dying and want to be here. Everybody copies our style. Everybody wants to, come to America. We live in the greatest country. And, this BS about make America great again, America is fantastic.
Yep.
We don't need anyone else with their darkness to make our country great again. We had 8 years of Obama, scandal-free.
Yep.
And that's what, this feels like again for me.
Yeah.
Another moment in history.
I guess my last question to you would be this, Vivica, and I so appreciate you coming on. I know how busy you are.
You're welcome.
I really do. My last question would be, there are still some people out there, believe it or not, that are undecided. There are still some people out there, moderate Republicans. Yes, they're not voting for Donald Trump, but they're not yet ready to vote for Kamala Harris. At least that's what some of them tell me. So I want you, Vivica A. Fox, what would be your message to them? Because to me, that's who's going to win this election, the moderates and the independents. Who's going to get those people? So I want you to speak to them if you can.
Hey there, my darlings. Vote. I guess because you're in Vegas, bet came out.
That too.
But you can bet on this black. But vote for the person that is the most qualified to take our country forward. vote for someone vote for the woman, Kamala Harris, who is going to fight for the middle class, who is going to fight to get taxes at an equal level for everyone. Vote for someone who puts country before ego and really wants to represent true leadership that our country needs and will be respected around the world. And for me, that person is Kamala Harris, regardless of your party affiliation. Vote for the person who's most qualified. Vote for our future. Vote for our godchildren's future. I mean, our children's future. Generation Next needs true leadership. And going forward, in Vivica Fox's opinion, that person to lead our country forward is Kamala Harris. I hope you join us and vote. Come over here. Let's have joy. Let's have peace. Let's have happiness, and go forward together. United we stand, divided we fall.
So well said. On a side note, I will say your Lakers are looking pretty good, Vivica. I had to throw that in there. They're winning basketball games. They're looking good.
You know I am a Golden State fan.
I know, but you live in
I love me some Steph Curry. I love me some. Steph Curry was Dad gave us the location for Joanna Man years ago.
Yep.
But the Lakers are looking pretty good, and I'm so happy for LeBron and Bronny making history playing together. But I'm sorry. I mean, I love Lakers, but I'm a bigger Golden State Warriors.
I know you're a Golden State, and we love Steve Kerr, also outspoken on the right side of history.
Yes.
I love Steve Kerr. Steph is also endorsed Kamala Harris. I would imagine probably the entire Golden State Warrior team, the entire Laker team. We know that I would say 99% of the NBA is supporting Kamala Harris, and that's the way it should be. Vivica, as I say before and I say again, lucky to call you a friend. The great career that you've had is incredible, but you're even a better person, and I see the way you are with your fans and just the way you treat people in general, and you're really a great role model for so many people in this country. So thank you so much for coming on. I know how busy you are.
You know, Brian, I'm all about positive energy.
I love
and
it.
you know that. You know what I mean? And I'm all about girl power. Just a big shout out to my girls on the Las Vegas Aces. I love you guys. I've been there. I've cheered for you guys. And you might not have got it this year, but guess what? Come back stronger and fight next year. I love the Aces. Special shout out to my guy. What's my guy, the owner? Come on.
Oh, Mark Davis. Mark Davis.
Yes, Mark Davis.
Yep.
Mark Davis, if you are listening to two of your biggest fans and two of your biggest supporters, happy holidays, and I look forward to seeing you again, my buddy.
Yes, look forward to catching some Aces games with you next year. Vivica, thank you so much for your time. Let's get it done. Let's let Kamala be the first female president of all time. Vivica A. Fox, everybody. Thank you so much, Vivica. Have a great rest of your week.
You're welcome, darling. Be good. Happy holidays. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Thank you, Vivica.
You're welcome.
I love her so much. Vivica A. Fox, she's so awesome. You know, there's certain people that you grow up and you watch them on television, you watch them in movies, and Vivica's, I mean, you want to talk about star power. What a career she's had, and she continues to make great movies, by the way. But I met her through a mutual friend, Miguel Nunez Jr. She mentioned the movie Joanna Man, which is such a funny movie. Miguel's a great guy, and he's done this show before as well, of course, and he's done it in person before. And I'll tell you guys this quick story, because this is how some of these things happen. You know, when you're in the radio business, you get to meet some really cool people and legends. And when you get to meet them and they become, you know, your friend and they're just incredible people, it makes it even more special. So I'm out there in LA a few years ago. This was like right when the pandemic was starting to end, right? And they were letting crowds back into arenas. And I hit up my friend Miguel Nunez, the actor, and Miguel had invited me to a Laker game. He's got second row season tickets to Lakers, and Lakers were playing Phoenix, and I said, man, I really want to go to that Phoenix game. I want to watch. That was when Phoenix was a lot better than they are right now. So I fly out there. I hang out with some friends, and then Miguel gives me a call, and he says, you're going to kill me, bro. I'm like, well, what's wrong? I got the COVID. I'm like, oh, no. And I assumed that meant, you know, I'm not going to the game. And he's like, can you bring my friend Vivica to the game? I'm like, sure. Who's your friend? Vivica Fox. I think you know her. I said, oh, okay. So that's how I met Vivica, and couldn't be more thrilled and honored to call her a friend, because she's such an amazing person. She really is. I mean, she is just, I I can't say enough nice things about her, the charity work that she does, and she's really so much fun to hang out with and to talk to. So I really do appreciate her coming on. And mark my words on this one. Her endorsing Kamala Harris and getting the word out, all these prominent people in no matter what industry you're in doing that, it's a big deal. You know, you look at all these people in every industry, whether it be the Robert De Niro's or the Vivica A. Foxes, musicians like Bruce Springsteen or Beyonce, Taylor Swift, you know, legends in the business. And I think of Donald Trump, and listen, celebrity endorsements shouldn't matter that much, but when you look at the celebrity endorsements or the people that are surrounding themselves around Donald Trump, and, you know, and I talked to Mark Cuban the other day. We played that interview yesterday. And look, Mark is a class act guy, and I guess I'm just not as good of a person as Mark Cuban is. But when I think of Hulk Hogan, who is a known racist, who's admitted to hating black people in audio, it's an endorsement, right? The guy who runs the UFC, Dana White, who slapped his wife. You know, we think of these people like Kid Rock, at least from my eyes, who use homophobic slurs at his concerts. These are the type of people that align themselves with Donald Trump. These are the kinds of people. And then you have people on the other side that have worked their entire lives for equality, worked their entire lives for equal pay, worked their entire lives to help minorities and to help people that are in need and helping those people that live paycheck to paycheck. The overwhelming majority of those people are the ones that are supporting Kamala Harris. I'm sorry if you disagree with me. Look at the people that spoke at MSG the other night. Stephen Miller. Think about that. Racist comedians. And like I said, I don't even blame the comedian. I blame the campaign for allowing somebody like that to speak at a campaign event. Why are these MAGA supporters so stupid? Can somebody please explain to me that they don't understand the difference between a racist comic going into a comedy club and a comic, instead of making a couple lighthearted jokes, making racist jokes at a campaign rally? Do we not understand the distinction and the difference there? If you don't understand the difference, then I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. It's exhausting, but we have a week out. And for those of you that haven't voted yet, you have a big decision to make. In my opinion, it should be an easy decision. Yes, as Americans, we have the right to vote for whoever we want to vote for. I think if you're voting for Donald Trump, you are, at a minimum, extremely misguided and ill-informed. At a minimum, and I'm being nice about it. To talk to us about this and many other issues coming up next, we're going to be joined by Ryan Sheed. He's a husband, a dad, a veteran, a large social media following, and host of Hold the Mic and Behind the Woodshed. He is supporting Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. He's going to tell us why. We will open up the phone lines after my interview with Ryan Sheed. And I had dinner with Lev Parnas last night. I'll talk to you a little bit about that. And he gave me his new book. He signed it for me. Some mesmerizing conversation and a lot of stuff that I can't repeat on the air. But it was probably the most in-depth political conversation I have ever had in my life with him last night privately. It was really amazing. I'll talk a little bit about that later on in the show as well. But Ryan Sheed is going to be joining us next. I want to remind all of you, please check out my new website. I get people all the time, Brian, how could I get more involved in the show? Well, here's a good way to do it. Check out my new website, pushingthelimits.live. Again, that's pushingthelimits.live. We sell merchandise up there, shirts, hats, beanies, you name it. We sell it at very affordable prices. But in order for us to keep the lights on, we rely on people like you to help support what we are doing. There's also a donate button right on the front page of that website. $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever you can afford, we greatly appreciate it. Check it out at pushingthelimits.live. So here's what we are going to do. We are going to take a quick 90-second break. We appreciate Vivica A. Fox for joining us. And when we come back in 90 seconds, we are going to be joined by one of my favorite follows on social media. Yes, I've always wanted to talk to him. Ryan Sheed's going to be joining us next. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
In these uncertain times, we need a leader who puts policy over politics.
I'm Ron Quince. I am beyond the bickering and what we see today. I am running to fight for your values, faith, family, and freedom.
Ron Quince stands for safe borders, lower taxes, and lower prices.
Let's take our country back, one community, one vote at a time. I am Ron Quince, and I'm asking for your vote because every vote matters. I am Ron Quince, and I approve this message.
I'm Shelley Berkeley, and I approve this message.
Shelley Berkeley, a proud Las Vegan who shatters barriers, becoming the first in her family to attend college, and served as UNLV's student body president, serving in the Nevada legislature, the University Board of Regents, and 7 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives. Shelley excelled as the senior VP of the Toro University system. Shelley Berkeley, a dedicated mother and family woman. Shelley has the experience we need as our next mayor. Shelley gets things done.
Paid for by Shelley Berkeley for mayor.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us on what is, a very busy news day. As I played some audio earlier, the Republicans are curling up into pretzels trying to make excuses for their Klan rally at MSG the other day. I played you some of Scott Jennings' audio on CNN, absolutely pathetic. J.D. Vance's response, just a fest, as if making racist, misogynistic jokes and attacking blacks and Jews and Puerto Rico is somehow some sort of love fest. He said the same thing, by the way, about January 6th. It's a joke. So to talk to us about this and much, much more, somebody that I really enjoy following on social media. We follow each other. He's a husband. He's a dad. He's a veteran. And he's the host of Hold the Mic and Behind the Woodshed. A pleasure having Ryan Sheed joining us right now on the show. Ryan, thank you so much for being here, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you being here. Boy, so many questions to ask you. I guess let me start here. What was your first reaction when you saw some of the comments that were made at MSG the other day?
Well, I went in on Tony Hinchcliffe like a lot of people did, of course, because it wasn't just one comment. It was the Puerto Rican comment, and then he made a carving watermelon comment, and it was just kind of like, wow, dude, like, I don't think you realize where you are. It's one thing to go to a roast, like a roast of Tom Brady, which is where a lot of people, were right. introduced to him. Mm-hmm. You're going there expecting people to say some pretty ridiculous things about everybody on the stage and, the person that they're roasting. But you're at a campaign rally, and everything you say is being projected onto that candidate. And like you were just saying, seeing how fast and how hard they're working trying to distance themselves from Tony Hinchcliffe and all these comments. It's like, it wasn't just one or two comments, and it wasn't just one guest. It was several, and the comments actually got far worse. Like, some of them are so bad, I'm afraid to even post them on my social media because I'm afraid I'm going to get, dinged or get it taken down.
Right. No, I'm with you on that. It's incredible, these Republicans, that MAGA Republicans that are making excuses. And then the report comes out where apparently this comic was going to call Kamala Harris the C word. Why is it, Ryan, that these people don't seem to understand it? We're not talking about a comedy club. That'd be one thing. We're talking about a campaign rally. And then Scott Jennings on CNN is saying, well, lyrics in some of the songs of some of the musicians who support Kamala Harris have said some horrible things in the past too. First of all, saying something in a song is very different than saying something at a campaign rally. Why is it they don't understand that?
I don't know. They seem to really struggle with art, like music and movies and whatever, and reality. And I think the Harris campaign, by the way, was just spot on with the Beyonce thing, because they learned, and I think this is where you were going, Megan Thee Stallion, when she came and did a thing, they were like, oh, they weren't there to see her, they were there for the free concert.
Right.
And it was like, okay, she did like 2 songs. Let's calm down, And when they brought Beyonce out, I was personally like, they're going to say the same thing. They're going to say, oh, Beyonce is just there. They were there for the free Beyonce concert. Right. So when she didn't sing a note when she came out, I was like, ooh, that's smart, because now they're not going to be able to say, oh, they were just there to watch her sing. No, they weren't.
Yeah, really good point. I agree. If you're just joining us, Ryan Sheed is with us. Ryan, we hear a lot from Republicans to try to defend their support for Donald Trump. Oh, we don't know Kamala Harris's policies. Ryan, this drives me nuts. We know her policy when it comes to abortion. We know where she stands on gun control. We know where she stands on, the economy and tax breaks for middle-class Americans and taxing the rich. We know where she stands on healthcare. We know where she stands on the border. She wants to get that border bill back into effect, and she wants to get Republicans. I can't think of anything where we don't know where she stands. We know where she stands on Israel, on Ukraine, where Donald Trump won't even answer the question, does he want Ukraine to win? He has no health care plan. He has concepts of a plan. He never talks about gun control. When he's asked about an abortion bill, if in fact it landed on his desk, if he's president, he wouldn't say whether he would veto it nationwide or not. Why do they keep? Why are they just ill-informed? Are they stupid? I mean, I hate to use that term, but I will hear why.
Oh, I wish it was that they were stupid, man. The reality is they know exactly what they're doing, which makes it that much more terrifying. They know who their base is. They know what the red meat is. They know what they have to do. And I think that's the most frustrating part. Like you said, we can sit here and talk about everything that Kamala Harris wants to do. If you're a parent out there, Kamala Harris wants to give you more money in your pocket. Donald Trump doesn't have a plan for that. Kamala Harris has a tiered system. She wants to give you $6,000 your first year of being a parent. Because, if you aren't one yet, you have to buy a crib. You have to buy car seats. A lot of first and one-time purchases that you have to make. So having $6,000 in your pocket at the end of the year would be kind of nice. And then from there, it goes to a tiered system. And after the kids hit 6, it's a flat $3,000. So right now, we parents only get $2,000 per child. So she's literally has plans, like you said, to put more money in our pockets, to try to improve jobs. Because the reality that we're seeing is we've been trying to fight automation for decades now. It's here. It's coming. So now we have to figure out, how are we going to transition some of these people, some of these skilled tradesmen, into other areas? And she has plans for that. She's looking that far down in the future. Donald Trump can't see into tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's
right.
the reality.
You're right. So, Ryan, we're obviously on the same side here, but I'm still worried. I do believe Kamala Harris is going to win. I think it's really close. But at the same time, I have to ask you this question. I mean, can you imagine, Ryan, what Donald Trump's administration would look like if he wins the Sebastian Gorkas, the Stephen Millers, maybe even somebody like a Steve Bannon, the Navarros of the world, non-serious people? I mean, I'm sure Haba would be in his administration somewhere. Maybe even a Laura Loomer. I mean, you had Don Jr. on his podcast yesterday saying that, and he was being serious, saying that Laura Loomer should be the press secretary. I mean, can you imagine? I guess that's my question. What the Trump administration would look like if, in fact, Donald Trump does win?
Unfortunately, I can. I actually have nightmares about it. Here's the reality. All those people you mentioned would absolutely have a place in the cabinet. And here's why. This is the scariest part. Because almost nobody that worked with Donald Trump in his first administration is willing to put their name and their careers on the line to come and serve him again. So he literally is going to have to fill his cabinet with the extremists that he is currently using to run his campaign. Yeah. And that should terrify everybody.
Yeah.
Because Roger Stone's still in the background. Yeah. I think a lot of us forget that too, that he's still back there pulling on the strings. And, and we're seeing too, how deep this really goes. We have to be serious about, there is some serious foreign influence on our elections. I think hopefully everybody can agree on that. The question is, who's benefiting from it and how deep does it go? Those are my 2 questions.
Very good question. And I find it very interesting that Donald Trump has never said one negative thing about Vladimir Putin. There's no question he wants Russia to win this war in the Ukraine. I don't think there's any question about that. Many of these other MAGA Republicans feel the same way. Some of them just don't say it out loud. Some of them do. And when you talk about, foreign affairs, writing love letters to Kim Jong-un, can you imagine for a moment, Ryan, hypothetically speaking, if during we had a pandemic during the Obama years, let's just say hypothetically, Obama would have handled it much better.
Yeah.
We all
he had a playbook for that.
Right, and Trump threw it away.
Yep.
Can you imagine, though, if Obama, during the heart of a pandemic, when we're losing thousands of people a day, he sent COVID test kits to the Kremlin? Republicans would never hear the...
They dragged them out.
Right.
They dragged them out.
I mean, and this is normal. Where some people we can't normalize this behavior.
No, and that's been my problem, especially since January 6th. It feels like we have let too much go, that we have normalized their behavior. And it's so unfortunate because we've had so many opportunities to keep Trump out of our government. We've had 2 impeachments that if the Senate would have just done their job, we never would have had to hear from this guy again. He wouldn't be able to run for office. But because they couldn't get enough people to put country over party, or country over Trump, I should say, here we are. So, like you said, it's terrifying of what would happen. We talk a lot about no guardrails on Donald Trump. Imagine if there's no checks on this dude. And he has no more campaigns to run, because I don't think he'd be able to run again, right? Because he only can do 2. Right. But this dude would have nothing to lose. It's like Biden. I wish Biden would come out right now and just start dropping executive orders on his way out the door and be like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. But he's not going to do that because Democrats don't tend to pull stupid games like that. But imagine if Trump was in. He wouldn't hesitate. He'd start dropping the executive orders day one.
No question. No question. I agree with you 100%, Ryan. And, listen, I love Michelle Obama. I think she's a wonderful woman, very educated and so much class. But when she says, when they go low, we go high, I'm not sure if I understand why she's saying that. I'm not saying we have to stoop to the level of Donald Trump, but at the same time, you got to go after Donald Trump. And I do think that the Harris campaign and Tim Walz, they have started to do that a little bit more over the last week or 2. I hope it's not too late. But what do you make of, there's a lot of Republicans that have voted early. That doesn't necessarily mean that these are not the same people that would have voted on Election Day. Does that concern you at all? Because it does seem like there are certainly more Republicans that are voting early in this election than 4 years ago or 8 years ago. Yeah,
I mean, it's concerning to me that it's this close. There's just no other way to look at it. It's these people are willing to support a felon, a prolific business fraud, an adjudicated abuser, because I don't want to use the word he actually is, and a legit domestic terrorist trying to overthrow our government. So to see this many Americans, after everything we've seen, and after watching all these videos over the last month, 2 months, Trump is now the senile old man.
Yeah.
And they're still voting for him. So it just goes to show you that all the critique of Biden, all the stuff they say, it doesn't apply to their side, which is why I never take it seriously. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead and finish.
No. Go ahead, brother.
I was just going to say, sorry, that's my ADD. I have it at the worst.
Me too. It's nice not being the host for once.
It's funny when people interview me once in a while, that does happen. And it's nice to not have to. I totally get where you're going with that, Ryan. But, I have to ask you this, and I try not to be mean about it. But as you know, when MAGA callers call into the show every day, sometimes we can have civil conversations. Most of the time, it just doesn't turn out very well. But what you talked about, gosh, you're concerned that this election is so close, as am I. I have those concerns, but I can't understand why. I understand his base of supporters. Many of them are usually ill-informed, and I'm going to try to be nice. Uneducated people is a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, you're being kind.
Right, I am. I'm being very kind. But how is it possible that a 34-count felon, liable sexual abuser who's had 30 women accused him of rape or sexual assault, including his ex-wife, how is it possible that there are so many people in this country that are going to be voting for Donald Trump? Is it stupidity? Is it bigotry? Is it racism? Is it selfishness? Is it all the above? How do you explain that? Because it's mesmerizing to me.
I was honestly going to say all the above because I think it's different for everybody. I think for a lot of men, they see something that they projected that they want to be. I think that they enjoy the way he talks about people. They enjoy the way he puts people down. And yet they're the first to cry when somebody does it to them. People that claim to like his policies really just like his bigoted racist agenda, because he doesn't have any policies. So it's just, like you said, it's really sad. And I'll tell you what I think, and this has been my prediction. If I was a betting person, I would easily put $100 on Kamala's going to beat him in the popular vote by 10 million.
Sure. I agree.
But what I'm concerned about is the Electoral College.
Right.
Is that there's going to be some way that they're going to weasel out another win, overturning what the will of the people are. Because let's not get it twisted. When Hillary Clinton in 2016 won the popular vote by 2.8 million, the Electoral College came in and installed Trump, the will of the American voters was scrapped that day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no other way to look at it.
Agree.
The Electoral College is ridiculous at this point.
It's rigged for Republicans. I hate to use one of the terms that Donald Trump uses, but it literally is rigged for Republicans, right? I mean, 7 of the last 8 presidential elections, the popular vote has been won by Democrats. I do think it comes down to Pennsylvania. Listen, Nevada, where we are at, is a very important state. Michigan's there's a lot of key battleground states that are important. Don't get me wrong. I personally believe that whoever wins Pennsylvania is going to win. There are 450,000 people from Puerto Rico that live in Pennsylvania. I truly believe the other day could cost Donald Trump the election. Do you agree with that? And do you think what do you think it comes down to?
Oh, I definitely don't think it helped at all. I kind of had the same thought. Like, that's the problem, and that I don't understand. Part of me is like, does this dude actually want to win?
Yes,
because he's going into Detroit, where I grew up, and crapping on Detroiters and being like, do you want the rest of the country to be like Detroit? Like,
right.
Sorry, dude. Are you saying we live in what are you trying to say?
Yeah, he called the whole country a garbage can.
Exactly. So, and now, you've got people standing on a stage and literally punching down on entire communities and entire regions of the United States. It's like, it's just mind boggling. If I've run for office, I've had campaign manager. I can tell you what he would have told me if I had even tried to say 95% of what these people say. He would have choked me. Like, he would have locked me in a room and taken my phone.
I've said the same thing, Ryan. I've said it almost seems like he's trying to lose in the aspect of, first of all, he picks J.D. Vance. Could you have, even most MAGA Republicans would say, yeah, that was a really bad pick.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go for a Nikki Haley? Why wouldn't you go for somebody that could bring in, more moderate Republicans? So he picks J.D. Vance, who has been, in my estimation, a disaster.
Yeah.
He continues to not go after, in a positive way, middle America, moderate Republicans. So the reason why I think Kamala is going to win, and boy, I hope I'm right, is that you can't find a lot of people, at least in my estimation, that voted for Joe Biden in 2020 that are going to be voting for Trump. There are some, but not many. And I think you'll find more people, moderate Republicans, that voted for Trump twice, that are either not going to vote for him this time or have already endorsed Kamala Harris, including members of his administration. Half of his administration are either not voting for him or supporting Harris.
Military generals, unions, the unions are a little iffy right now. But which is weird to me, by the way. Like,
strange.
All these unions, like, this dude literally rented out a space, hired a bunch of actors to make them look like union workers. Like, he's a fraud. Everything about him is smoke and mirrors. I think David Copperfield is running his campaign at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Why do you keep falling for this stuff?
Stupidity, brainwashed people. And I hate to say that because I meet some. All right, I'll give you a quick 30-second story here. I was downtown Las Vegas the other day, and I meet a guy who's wearing a shirt that says, Democrats are trying to take my Second Amendment rights away," or something like that. And he's wearing a hat that said he served. So the first thing I say to him, as I would say to you or anybody else, you serve this country honorably, no matter what our disagreements are. You're a hero. Ryan, you're a hero. Anybody, even Ron DeSantis, who I can't stand, he served this country. I respect his service, J.D. Vance. So I shake his hand and I say, "Thank you for your service, sir. Do you think Kamala Harris is going to take your Second Amendment rights away?" He says, "Yes." And I said, "Well, with all due respect, sir, you're just wrong. She owns guns. Now she wants an assault weapons ban." And then I asked him for his solutions for gun control. Of course, he didn't have any. He said more guns make us safer. But I gave him some of Kamala Harris's, plans for the future, policies. He said he would look it up. We had a very respectful conversation, and I feel like maybe I was able to get to him. I'm just not sure how anybody who served this country honorably like you could support a man who dodged the military, who calls them suckers and losers. We know the comments he made about John McCain. I don't know how any woman could support a man who's a liable sexual abuser. We know his history with women. I don't know how any minority or immigrant could support this man. Those are the questions that come up. I understand why white right-wing evangelicals support him. They're hypocrites, but
yeah.
Why? Other people who have served. Have you had those conversations with people?
Bro, too many.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people I don't talk to I served with because of Trump. There's so many things I think that I experienced because I'm in an interracial marriage. I see all these things and experience things that I think a lot of people I served with didn't. And it's you can't support a dude that is against everything, that would benefit my family, and then say, hey man, how's the family? How you doing? Love you. No, you don't. Because you're voting against me. And that's literally how I look at it. And in terms of veterans, like you said, January 6th should have been it. That right there should have been it for anybody that ever swore an oath to this country. Because the part where it says all enemies, foreign and domestic, those were domestic enemies. They still are. And the fact that you're siding with them, the fact that so many law enforcement, we see so many of them yupping it up with them, taking photos, all this stuff. Look, I understand that you might have a job as law enforcement to escort him places and stuff like that, but you ain't got to go up and hug on him and take your phone out and take selfies and all that stuff.
Right.
That's you simping for a felon and a sexual abuser.
Yeah.
So it's how do you expect us to take you seriously as law enforcement when you're literally letting this 34-time felon, just do whatever he wants?
Yeah.
And by the way, the dude's not qualified to work at a McDonald's because
Right.
he's a felon, but
Right.
we're going to put him in the White House?
Right. There's something wrong with our laws in this country. You're so right. I guess this would be my last question for you, which would be, if you were alone in a room privately and you had the opportunity to speak to Donald Trump, I'm curious, Ryan, you're a very opinionated guy like myself. What would you say to him?
And I don't know. Can we put this on tape?
Well, we do have FCC. We do have FCC regulations.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No. That's a great question. Honestly, I'm going to be real honest. I don't know if I'd be able to keep my emotions in check. I'm going to be real honest. I try not to hate people. I really do. But he's one of those people that it's I cannot find any redeeming quality about you. And I've tried to look. It's not like I haven't tried.
Yeah.
I think I would just ask him, probably just between you and me, it would never leave this room. Do you really believe the bullshit that you push? That would probably be the one thing I'd want to know. Do you really believe this stuff? I got to know, are you really this guy? Or do you just know who your base is, and behind closed doors, you're really just this freaking genius that got them to fund your entire life for a decade? Tell me what it is. That would probably be it.
And according to Stephanie Grisham, he told her, I can lie over and over again, and eventually they will believe it. And I think that's the real Donald Trump. I think he knows that he's BSing, but he also knows that that's why he ran as a Republican. He said it himself. They're the most gullible, and I think that's what you're seeing. But Ryan, I'm glad there are people like you out there. I love what you do. I love following you on social media. I really do. You do a great job. And there's nothing more I would rather do than to have you back on this show in a couple weeks.
Oh, for
and
sure.
Call Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
I look forward to it, brother.
Ryan, thank you so much for your time, my man. I love what you do. I really appreciate you, and love to do it again soon, my friend. Thank you so much.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. That's Ryan Cheat, everybody.
Yes,
and I also need to thank him because I remember back in June, I put out a video. I forgot to even mention this with him, but I put out a video back in June when I went to a Trump rally. Thousands, literally, thousands of Trump supporters leaving in the middle of his speech. Midas Touch retweeted it. Ron Filipowski retweeted it. Ryan retweeted it. In fact, he did his own commentary on it, which I appreciated. I thought it was great. 10 million people saw this video. And Ron Filipowski told me the reason why Kamala Harris mentioned his crowds leaving in the middle of his speeches was because of that video that I recorded. And I have Ryan to thank for that, and Ron Filipowski and the Krasentine brothers who retweeted it, and millions of people saw it. So I really appreciate that. All right, here's what we're going to do. Right now, I want to take phone calls. We have another guest coming in at the bottom of the hour, but right now I want to take phone calls. Now's the time to open up the phone lines. 702-221-7283. This is the segment where we are going to take calls. 702-221-7283. I also want to thank the official gaming bar of the Pushing the Limits radio show, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. So many great promotions they have there, including the Pass the Puck contest. Earn 350 points on a Sunday, noon to 8 a.m., and you're going to get $50 in free slot play. Some of the best lunches I've ever had have been at Jackson's Bar and Grill. Their food is so amazing there. Check them out. They're located at Flamingo and Jones, and tell them that I sent you. Jackson's Bar and Grill. Okay, that number again to call is 702-221-7283. We just had two great guests that I have so much respect for, both of them. Of course, the legend herself, actress Vivica A. Fox, joined us on the show. She explained to us why she's supporting Kamala Harris. Ryan Sheed, who has a huge platform on social media, does a great job just joining us on the show as well. That was really a pleasure talking to him. All right, let's get right to the calls now. And who are we starting off with here? Let's go to Vivian. Vivian is first up on PTL. Hi, Vivian.
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind today?
What I say to myself is that the people who support Trump are in an abusive relationship, and they don't even recognize it. He's against everybody, but yet still they're so drawn to him. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. How are you feeling, though? I have to ask you, we're a week away, which is incredible. The countdown is on, right? We're a week away. How are you feeling?
Nervous because I'm in New York, right?
Yeah.
And what happened at Madison Square Garden was the most disgusting thing I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I agree.
Besides all the rhetoric that comes out of his mouth, especially about what happened on January 6th, it's just ridiculous. And that there's so many people who are so gullible and don't see right from wrong. I mean, I think his title, every time somebody talk about him, should be that they should say 34 convicted felon rapist candidate Trump. That's how they should say his name. Not just call him Trump or President Trump or whatever, but put those in their sentence with his name.
I agree. Listen, I agree. We have to do our part. I'm sure you've done yours. I've done mine. Stay strong out there in New York. I might be out there in New York, by the way, for Election Day. I haven't made that decision yet, but I might be doing some special coverage on Election Night for my New York listeners out there. I might be out there. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. All right. You know what? Let's go to Steve. Steve is next up on PTL. Hey, Steve, what's going on, man?
Hi, Brian. I've been listening to your show for a while, and the last two elections, I was a Trump voter, and after listening to you for a while, I'm thinking that I'm possibly changing my vote.
Really? Well, I'm
not really. Why would I do that? Trump all the way.
Okay, so you're lying. You just called into the show to lie. Then is that what you're doing? Okay, so let's try. So you're lying.
I'm telling you,
okay.
because I'm
you're trying to be funny.
Trump.
You're
Why
about.
would I change?
So you're about just as funny as the comedian at MSG. But let's dissect this a little bit. Why are you such a staunch Donald Trump supporter?
Well, I voted for him the last two times. I thought he did a great job. The guy brings the nation together like nobody else has ever done.
He brings the nation.
Why would I not want this to happen?
I don't know. Maybe because he's a 34-count felon. He's a liable sexual abusing rapist. Let me ask you a question. Since you think he brings the country together, do you think his rally? Well, hold on. Let me ask you. Do you think his rally at MSG the other day, when he had people attacking Jews, black people, attacking Puerto Rico, he calls the country a garbage country? Would you characterize that as bringing the country together? I'm just curious.
Have you ever been to Puerto Rico? He didn't lie. He hasn't lied, first of all. Secondly,
so you defend them mocking Puerto Ricans and Puerto Rico. You're defending that.
This episode. This reminds me of that episode of Seinfeld when the Nazi guys were speaking in Madison Square Garden. They all went there. It was case just like that.
Whoa, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on. Stop for a second. Let's backtrack because you're saying a lot. First of all, this isn't a TV show. This is real life, number one. Number two, there are Puerto Ricans all over this country that are going to be voting. Number three, I have been to Puerto Rico. It's not garbage. There are beautiful places in Puerto Rico, beautiful people, good, hardworking people.
Well,
why would you defend that sort of?
Probably a few of them that are good.
There are. Oh, wait. Hold on.
Puerto Rico's all bad.
I'm not going to let you get away. I'm not going to.
Garbage. It's disgusting.
I'll tell you what. I'm shocked that you're voting for Trump. Did you just say there's only a couple good people in Puerto Rico? Is that what you just said, sir?
It's like the Mexicans they come across. I'm sure there's a few good ones that come across.
No, that is not true. No, that is not.
Racist.
No, that is not true. First of all, the overwhelming majority of those that come into this country from Mexico are not bad people. They are good people that want a better life for themselves and their families. You are taking the evil rhetoric of Donald Trump, who said they're rapists, they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. My question to you, Steve, is why are you so gullible? Why do you believe everything that Donald Trump says, Steve?
Am I on the air right now?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. But if you say something stupid and racist,
you come across the border legally. We got the rules. We got laws. You come across legally, and you're fine. If you sneak across and you are going to break the rules to get in, you're not a good person, are you?
You're not. Okay, so let's talk about what is or what isn't a good person. Let's talk about that. Now, you're voting for Donald Trump. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Donald Trump is a good person?
I think Donald Trump's a good person.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's compare the two here. Let's compare the two.
Well,
no. Don't well. Don't well me. Don't Brian me and don't well me. I'm asking you a question. Listen for once. Take the MAGA.
I got a question for you.
And you're going to have to answer mine first because it's my show and not yours. Take the MAGA wax out of your ears. Number one, you define Donald Trump a good person who's a 34-count felon, liable sexual abuser. Okay, he's got 5 kids with 3 different women. But yet you're a bad person if you're a mother or a father and you're seeking asylum and you want a better life for your kids. Yes, you cross the border. Hypothetically speaking, you cross the border illegally. Those are hold on.
Kids from 3 women.
Okay.
But having 5 kids from 3 women isn't against a law. It's not.
I didn't say.
There's
being a bad person or a good being a bad.
In fact, that could probably show you that you're a good person.
Being a bad
woman to sleep with you.
Okay, well that's absurd. Being a bad person isn't against law either. We're not. By the way, he's a 34-count felon. But let's put criminality aside for a moment. You think it defines you as a whole as a bad person if you're seeking asylum and you're trying to come into this country, whether it be legal or not, because a better life for your kids and your family? You think that makes you a bad person?
Are you not showing your kids that being illegal or not following the rules, is that being a good parent?
Okay.
If you're showing your kids
let's talk about that. Okay, so first of all,
but here's the thing.
I'll answer your question. I'll answer your question. I'll answer your question. If they feel like they have no other choice and their lives are in jeopardy by seeking asylum from evil dictators, I think it makes you better than just a good person. I think it makes you a hero. Does it make you a good person if you want to talk a role model to your kids when you have unprotected sex with a porn star 2 weeks after your son is born? Now you answer that question.
There's no legality with that. That's
actually there is. Actually there is. It's not about the sex. Actually there is. It's not just about the sex. Actually it is. If you listen,
on the day his kid was born.
Actually it is. It's called campaign finance violations, and he tried to hide it. He paid her $130,000 hush money payments. So actually there is illegality to that. You can just look at the court cases if you don't believe me. I find it very interesting that you want to attack minorities and you want to attack people in this country, whether they're migrants or not. I find it interesting that you characterize Donald Trump as a good person. You say he brings people together. Now, maybe he brings Klan members together. Maybe he brings people like you together. I'm going to assume you're another ill-informed, uneducated white guy who probably is okay with the language of stand back and stand by when it comes to the Proud Boys. In fact, I'm just going to ask you this question. Are you a member of any right-wing fringe groups?
Why do you think that...
You won't answer the question.
If the majority of people are going to vote, and he's going to win the popular vote.
No, he's not. You're insane. You're insane. You're dreaming.
Brian, he's going to win the popular vote.
No, he's not. You're crazy.
And that's more than 50% of the nation.
No, he's not. You're insane. You're insane. He's not going to win the popular vote. No, he's not. You're wrong. You're wrong.
You are so deranged right now.
Wait, hold on. Pot him down. I'm deranged. Donald Trump lost the popular vote in 2016. He lost the popular vote in 2020. I guarantee you he's going to lose the popular vote. Somehow I'm deranged, yet you're the same guy who says Donald Trump brings the country together. You're the same guy that says that Donald Trump is a good person and everybody who comes into this country illegally is a bad person, regardless of whether they're seeking asylum, trying to save the lives of their family. They're all bad people. But the 34-count felon liable sexual abuser is a good guy who brings the country together. And you're saying I'm the one who's deranged. Let me be very clear. You're the one who has Trump derangement syndrome, not me. I would characterize it as Trump fellatio syndrome. You're ill-informed. You sound like you're a very uneducated man. But go ahead and vote for your rapist felon. Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Rob. Rob is next up on PTL. Hey, Rob, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian, I've been watching the news lately, and Washington State, Arizona, Colorado, and I believe I might be missing one other state, there's been cases of people setting drop boxes on fire and burning ballots. Have you heard about this?
I try not to pay attention to social media, and I took some really good advice from a friend of mine several months ago to not listen to trolls, listen to what they say about me personally, or listen to rumors about drop boxes being lit on fire. I don't think any of that has been substantiated. If it is substantiated and there's proof of it, then I would say, okay, well, that's terrible. We don't want that to happen. Do I think that's going to change the outcome of the election? No, I don't. So I don't really know what else to tell you. I don't condone any of that behavior. I certainly don't want any of that to happen. I don't think as Americans, any of us want that to happen. I'm more concerned about political violence. What's that? Go ahead, sir.
It's a federal offense to do that.
Absolutely. I wouldn't condone any of that. I don't know where any of that has been absolutely verified, but if it has been verified anywhere, then I wouldn't condone it. I'm worried about political violence in general.
I'm just saying what I've seen on YouTube, like news videos from YouTube of this happening.
Well, again, if any of that is verified, I certainly would never condone any of that behavior. But at the same time, we know, and this is important, no matter what drop box is being lit on fire, we know that if Kamala Harris loses, she will concede and Donald Trump won't. So if you care about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't want any of that to happen, though, my friend, right? We don't want any of that to happen, and I'm sure you're in agreement with me. So if any of that has been verified, which I don't know if it has, but if any of that has been verified, then we wouldn't condone that sort of behavior. Thank you for the call, Rob. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. What's going on, Terry?
Oh, this is Perry. I was calling. I looked at CNN this morning.
Yep.
Anybody with any ounce of a brain listening at Trump this morning will not vote for him. In a matter of 10 minutes, I think he told about 40 lies.
Not surprising, right? Not surprising.
He lied so much. He lied. And then they asked him about this rally. He skirted around, and then he go, we don't want anybody like that. And then the next thing he was on Biden and Harris.
I have to make, since the Trumpers like these inappropriate jokes, and I would never use a joke, a racist joke, as you know, if you listen to my show, but I will say it this way. Maybe Donald Trump is a little confused, and every time he tells a lie, he thinks another portion of his body will get larger, not his nose. Maybe that's possible.
Something. It's got to be something.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
He always talking about Joe Biden. I think this morning because he was supposed to come out at 10 o'clock. Do you know they waited on him till after 11 o'clock before he come out and start spurting lies?
Well, that doesn't surprise me. He's late. He's late to all of his rallies. He's late to all. He's late to all of his rallies, my dear, because he doesn't care about anybody else but himself. He's late to his press conferences. He's late to everything. And you said something very interesting, which is, how can anybody vote for this guy? How stupid could they be? There's no question the overwhelming majority of Donald Trump's base are very stupid people. They're bigoted in nature. They're hateful people. They're stupid. And then there's the portion of those people that are even more dangerous because they know who Donald Trump is, yet they're still supporting him, my dear. Thank you so much for the phone call. I'm with you 100%. Who we going to do next here? Let's go to Darlene. Darlene is next up on PTL, 702-221-7283. Hello, Darlene.
Hi, Brian. I am so excited to finally get through to you. Listen, I'm a 63-year-old woman from Oklahoma, the red state. And I want to tell you right now, I want to thank all these ignorant Republican people for calling in and showing me that I needed to get out and vote. Because let me tell you, I'm 63. I have never voted but once in my life. And that was a Republican when I was married to my first husband. But now I have a mind of my own. And let me tell you, I thought we learned all this in kindergarten, that you're supposed to be respectful to people. These people are ignorant. They are, oh my God, somebody that has not voted. Let me tell you, I am shocked. I am infuriated. And I'm mad because it is the most ridiculous crap that I've ever heard in my life. And I'm not a person that's used to voting.
Right.
But I tell you what, I want to thank you, Brian. I want to thank Midas Touch, and I want to thank Adam, and I want to thank your ignorant Republican people that are voting for Trump. I want to thank all of you because all of y'all is why I am voting.
Well, God bless
and
you.
I love you. You're cool, dude.
Oh, well, thank
Anybody
you.
cuts you down, you come to me. I got your back always.
Well, dear, that means so much to me. And part of the reason why I do this show is because of wonderful people out there like yourself. You sound like somebody that would be fun to have a beer with. And I appreciate your kind words. And by the way, you're right. Adam Mockler's great. We're going to try to get him on the show later this week. Midas Touch is great. There's a lot of great people out there, right? Bulwark, they're fantastic. There's a lot of great people out there. Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Carol. Carol's next on PTL. Hey, Carol, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, I have a question for our audience.
Yeah.
If you had a choice, say at Thanksgiving, which candidate would you want to come to your house?
Yeah. Boy, that's an easy answer, isn't it, Carol? Who would you rather have watching your kids? Who would you rather have babysitting your kids? Who would you rather? We're not talking about going out there having a beer with locker room talk, as he would like to say. How about family values? Who would you like to have at the dinner table? Somebody who makes misogynistic jokes about women and attacks minorities, or a woman at the table, a powerful woman who has empathy, who is caring, who is intelligent, who is full of joy, who wants to, enjoy their friends and family. I mean, you
would probably bring a homemade meal.
Yes. I mean, it seems like an easy answer to me, Carol, but it sounds like some of the MAGA people out there would have a tough time answering that question.
And guess what? He wouldn't eat anything that anybody served to him.
Oh, no. Oh, no. No. Yeah, listen, if you're inviting Donald Trump over to your house, he's got to have plenty of orange makeup. He's got to have his girdle on. You got to make sure that you have a very large toilet for him and great Wi-Fi so that he can tweet on the toilet. You got to make sure you have Confederate flags in there. And yes, I'm going to go as far as to say Donald Trump probably wouldn't have a problem going to Nick Fuentes' home. So you got to have your Nazi symbols as well. Because as we know, if anybody out there thinks that I'm being outrageous or over the top, for you idiots out there, let me tell you something. Donald Trump invited Nick Fuentes to Mar-a-Lago, a known Nazi white supremacist. And what does it say about Donald Trump's campaign? We are a week out of the elections, and Donald Trump is trying to convince America he's not a Nazi. That's what he's doing. Kamala Harris is talking about the future. She's talking about the future and what she wants to do to help middle America. And Donald Trump is still sharing his grievances and trying to convince all of you he's not a Nazi. Again, let me repeat that. He invited Nick Fuentes, a known Nazi and a Nazi sympathizer and an anti-Semite, to Mar-a-Lago for dinner. Those are the people Donald Trump invites to dinner. Nazis. What does that make you? Well, I'll say this in closing. You are who you hang out with. Thank you for the call, my dear. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff is next up on PTL. Hey, Jeff, what's going on?
Brian, my Pushing the Limits T-shirts were ordered last week, and I can't wait to mix them into the rotation.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I thank you, Jeff, for the support, and I will ask anybody if you do get those T-shirts. I want the pictures up on social media because I'll retweet those, and we want to see that. So thank you, Jeff, for your support.
I'll send them to you, but I don't social media.
Okay,
but
no problem.
I digress.
No problem.
So it's well known that everything that Trump says is either projection or confession. And the latest, his enemy from within rhetoric, the enemy from within is you, Benedict Donald. Trump, he doesn't even have concepts of a clue.
No.
And with Putin's fist so far up Trump's ass, the orange meat puppet is the enemy from within, working on Putin's behalf, and you maggots are Putin's foot soldiers.
No question. He admires evil, murderous dictators. He admires these
Yes.
people, and that's what makes things really scary. And as Kamala Harris so eloquently put it out, this is weakness. It's not strength. When you suck up to evil, murderous dictators, it's a sign of weakness. That's not a sign of strength. And then they'll say, oh,
No.
well, the war going on in the Middle East, it's all Joe Biden's fault, as if Hamas said to themselves, oh, no, we can't kill innocent Jews because Donald Trump is the president. But since Joe Biden is the
Everything's
president, I mean,
fault.
it's so dumb the way these people think. It's absurd. And then you have a former president who won't even say he wants Ukraine to win the war. Do you know why? He does not want Ukraine to win the war. He wants Vladimir Putin and
Correct.
Russia to win the war. It's very simple, my friend. And I appreciate the call, Jeff. And thank you for your support of the show. It means the world to us. Thank you. 702-221-7283. Donatella is next up on PTL. Hi, Donatella.
Hello. Hey, I want to just tell you a really quick recall of back in 2016 and 2017 when Trump was president. He had a lot of people, like ISIS was out there collecting all these, different people that he said were illegals. And I live in a sundown town in Southern Illinois. I'm not from here originally. I was born in Savannah, Georgia. That Southern Illinois University in Carbondale is where I went to school at, and Roosevelt University in Chicago. But anyway, I live in a sundown town, and we have a little Mexican restaurant over here that, as a paralegal, Social Security disability advocate, I have to help a lot of my people I am fighting for their disability to be able to support themselves as they go along. And I worked very closely with this little Mexican restaurant, and they would pick out a day of the week, and we would promo it heavily throughout the town, and people would come in and they would give us 20% of their proceeds from the night's worth of, feed people eating.
Gotcha.
And then I would give it to my clients.
Right.
Okay. Well, he was they were so wonderful, and people go there by the droves. Okay. But they're all closeted behind their doors. They're all haters. They're bigots. David Duke went to SIU University.
Right.
KKK, head of
Yep.
KKK.
Yep.
So, that's how closely I am related to all this.
Isn't
shit.
it interesting, though, that when Donald Trump was asked if he knew who David Duke was, back in the 80s, he did interviews with Larry King. He talked about David Duke all the time. But then when he runs for president, all of a sudden he doesn't know who David Duke is. You find that interesting, as I do.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. He's someone from over here in this lovely little area that I lived in. Who knows who it was? They called on Carlos, which is one of the managers over there. And so ISIS came here from Kansas City, Missouri, and they took him away.
Yeah.
And they took him away. And so everybody in town wanted us to keep it really low profile because they were afraid that would affect the business, and that eventually maybe he would get out and, whatever. And so I went down there and talked to him. I said, oh, no, we cannot do it this way because they will send him back. He'll be gone. He'll be deported. And he had a family. His wife was legal. His kids were legal, everything. Yeah. He was just working out the last bit of his deal. So I went big time. I called the judge down there in Kansas City, Missouri. And this is the way I am. I'm aggressive, Taurus, firstborn child, paralegal, whatever. I will not let them hold me down. And so, we went big time. And so he got released. And guess where his family ended up at? He ended up on Good Morning America.
Oh,
and they were on there, saying, hey, we can put an end to Trump. This was back, I've got a long memory. And this is not the only situation that I've had. I just got a letter in the mail from these haters around here who can't stand it, that I'm a Kamala cat lady or whatever.
Well,
I don't know what they're doing.
You know what? They could go F themselves as far as, who cares? And again, several months ago, I just decided to make a conscious effort. And I got to be honest with you, it's improved my mental health, to just not worry about what people think, not worry about what people say about me. I don't care. I don't care.
You are a young version of me.
Yeah.
You are a young version of me.
I'm not that young.
You will be me.
I'm not that young. But I'll tell you
something.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You are. And I live, my dad was the bus driver back when I was growing up, and he worked in he was a janitor, and our towns were very segregated. We had no black people that lived in here in Illinois. And that was where Bloody Williamson was. And I don't know if you know all that history, but anyway, we would drive. My dad had the Culp route, which is where we picked up all the African-American young children. Mm-hmm. And we took them into our school because they all poured into the same schools. Well, I didn't, I never even knew the difference in race. I had no
because
idea
we weren't,
what it was.
because we weren't really, but this is what's most important. And I think we have this in common too. We don't care. And when I say we, I mean people like you and like-minded individuals that call into this show, my dear. We weren't raised to look at other people and think about them in a different fashion or in a negative light because their skin color is different, or because they're from another country, or gender, or sexuality. I wasn't raised like that. My parents raised me to respect others regardless of sexuality, gender, the color of one's skin. I've never thought that way, and I never will. I look at you and I judge you based on your character. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what your sexuality is. And unfortunately, the Republican Party has had this problem for decades and decades and decades. It's why so few minorities are in the Republican Party. Thank you so much for your call, my dear. I really appreciate you. 702-221-7283. Mario's next. Hi, Mario. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind today?
Hi. Well, there are a couple of things. One of them is that I'm really dismayed by how the corporate media has dropped the ball regarding the fascist language that Trump is using, regarding his economic policies, regarding even border policies.
Yeah.
It seems to me that they're just not doing a very good job of reporting things in an honest way.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's what I'll say to that. I've had plenty of Trump surrogates on this show. They're spinning talking heads, and quite frankly, it's exhausting because they don't answer any of my questions. The problem is when you have a lot of these shows that have these interviews with Trumpers or Trump surrogates or staunch they don't answer questions directly, and all they want to do is talk about, they want to call her the border czar. She doesn't have this. She doesn't have that policy. We don't. And that when you ask them, for example, well, what's Trump's healthcare policy? He's got concepts of a plan. He's had 9 years. They'll just, again, it doesn't matter what you ask these Trump supporters or these Trump surrogates. They won't even answer who won the 2020 election. So how do you imagine that they'll answer a question about Trump's policies or lack thereof? All we know from Donald Trump in the last, year, he wants to deport 20 million immigrants, right? All we know is that he wants to continue to give tax breaks for the top 1%. All we know is that he is proud of the fact that in his presidency they overturned Roe versus Wade. He has no plans for the future. He wants to talk about tariffs. And if you talk to somebody like a Mark Cuban, who I spoke with over the weekend, he explains how it will ruin our economy and it will not.
Yes, that's one of the things. That's one of the things where the media has been really lacking in spying, because there are two things that always make the rich richer and make the poor poorer. One of them is tax cuts for the wealthy, and the other one is tariffs. And Trump wants to do both of those.
Right.
He's going to decimate. That would decimate the middle class.
You're 100% correct. And I don't listen to people like Kevin O'Leary, who's a complete bum. I don't care how much money he has. He's an idiot. He's a talking head for Donald Trump. I don't care how much money he has. He and Elon Musk have a lot in common. I listen to people like Mark Cuban. I listen to people that are not selfish like Mark Cuban. He knows that he'll have to pay a little bit more in taxes if Harris wins. He doesn't care, because he cares about the American people. He cares about those that are struggling, living to paycheck to paycheck. You think Kevin O'Leary cares about people living paycheck to paycheck? Do you think Donald Trump cares about middle America? No, he just cares about his billionaire friends over at Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for the call, sir. 702-221-7283. Chuck is next. Let's go to Chuck next. Hi, Chuck. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
I was just thinking, I kind of had a little bit of an epiphany, because I was wondering, because I know that Trump supporters tend to be racist, but I know that based on some of my black and Puerto Rican friends that are Trump supporters, that there has to be something else, and I figured out what it is. It's America's love of the Billy the Kid, anti-hero, bad guy, with a heart of gold kind of thing.
Yeah.
So some people are willing to overlook that to support somebody that's anti-establishment, because the establishment has been against a lot of people.
Well,
in
Chuck,
such
you might
a
be right.
Strong way.
You might be right. But when we think of like a Billy the Kid, I don't think of someone that's a rapist or a felon or,
Exactly.
And that's the problem. I'm not discounting what you're saying. With some of these people, you might very well be right, but they're very ill-informed and uneducated people. And, I can't stand it when some of these people say, oh, well, he's not your typical politician. He just tells it like it is. He represents us, and I can't.
You know who else tells it like it is, Brian? My 3-year-old grandma.
Right.
She tells it like it is.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
it's just ridiculous because first of all, like we should really be focusing on actual policies, and there's a difference between being misinformed and uninformed, and also being willfully uninformed. Because I know I watch the news a lot. I can tell you what her three main policies are. You know, giving money to new home buyers, tax credit for new businesses, and the money for the new families. But they will constantly lie and say, "Well, we have no idea what her policies are. She doesn't have any policies." Just like how J.D. Vance sat there and lied and said, "Well, I don't know what that comment was about the Puerto Ricans, but they're just making jokes." You know what it is. Like, did you not go to work that morning before you went and did this rally? Nobody in the Trump office said, "Oh my God, we got to do some damage control because this guy said some really negative things about Puerto Ricans." You know exactly what he said. They're just a bunch of liars, and the other people that support them are unfortunately really stupid.
Well, I think that's Donald Trump's base. And you're absolutely right, my friend. Great phone call. Good to hear from you. You're absolutely right. And you said it best. Your 3-year-old probably has more common sense, though, than some of these MAGA supporters out there. I got to be honest with you, my friend, but I'm glad there's people like you out there. All right, let's go to Evelyn. Evelyn is next up on PTL. Hi, Evelyn. How are you?
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure.
Brian, I'm a Puerto Rican, and as you know, is what is the news right now in every channel, everywhere.
Yep.
Because we have the right to feel upset. I live in Florida. I live in Miami, where there's a huge, Latino population here. But we are honest, worker hard people. We pay taxes. We work hard. We don't go to the government to ask for help.
Right.
And on top of that, we have other people that are very famous in many areas, not only in the music or they are talented in the arts, but we have also in the Supreme Court, we have Sonia Sotomayor.
So, Evelyn, I'm sorry to interject. I agree with everything you just said. The Puerto Rican people are wonderful people, and you sound like a wonderful person yourself. I agree with everything you just said. I have to ask you this question, though. What went through your mind the other night when those that were speaking at Donald Trump's MSG rally attacked Puerto Rico? As a Puerto Rican yourself, what went through your mind when you heard that?
Well, the first thing, Ryan, and I'm still have it. It's still my sister and my husband. We still feel the same, and my family members, because we live here, but we have family and friends still in the island. And as soon as they saw it in the news, they started sharing everything on social media. Like claiming for people to pay, to apologize. And my husband, we were very upset at that moment. I couldn't just believe it. And still today, a lot of leadership from the island are asking Donald Trump to please apologize.
He won't. But he won't, Evelyn. Evelyn, I agree with you. He should apologize. But guess what he did this morning? He doubled down and he said it was a day of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. He doesn't know the definition of love, Brian.
Let me ask you another question. I agree. I agree. I spoke about that earlier. You're absolutely right.
His love definition is totally different.
So let me ask you another question.
From the right love.
Let me ask you one more question, because your opinions are very important. What would you say to Puerto Ricans who live in this country, or for that matter, any minority who lives in this country, who still is supporting Donald Trump? Evelyn, what is your message to them?
I honestly don't understand, and you say that many times on your show, and by the way, I congratulate you for your shows and for your guests, for Vivica and for Ryan today. I don't understand why people still today believe that Donald Trump is going to save them, believe that Donald Trump is going to do better for them, because when he's back into the White House, he's not going to do nothing for nobody. Yeah. And we're trying to make them understand that for the majority, for us, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Evelyn,
and we're trying very hard to change their minds. But like you said, and you have it on your radio every time.
Right.
It's very hard.
Yeah, it is. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm so glad that there are people like you out there, Evelyn, and I'm so glad you called into the show. I love people that are Puerto Rican people, especially those that are in this country that are hard workers like yourself. You sound like you have a wonderful family. I'm so glad that there are people like you in this country. The problem that I have is that I feel like there are so many MAGA Republicans out there that don't want people like you in this country. They don't want people like you here. I do. Kamala Harris does. When I go to a Kamala Harris rally, there are plenty of people like you at her rallies. It looks like America. All sorts of different people from different backgrounds. I love that. I feel like I belong at a rally like that because I feel so comfortable at Kamala Harris rallies. There's so many good people. That's true joy. We saw the opposite of joy in New York City at MSG the other day. That was hatred, bigotry, and as far as I'm concerned, disgusting people that thought that some of those jokes at a campaign rally were funny. Evelyn, I am so glad that you called into this show. And I am so glad that there are people like you that live in this country that are on the right side of history. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Kenny. Kenny's next on PTL. Hey, Kenny, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Good.
Thanks for having me. I'm a relatively new listener from Maryland, and I just recently, you were talking about Trump supporters and how hard it is to get through to them. I recently had to cut ties with my last remaining family member over this because she wants to believe everything that Trump tells her, and I offered, irrefutable proof of things that prove that he's lying, and it just goes in one ear and out the other. And it's like, how can you sit there and say that you love me as your relative, as your nephew, but then you would go and put somebody in office that would, put me at jeopardy? And the funny thing is she has a daughter that she adopted from China, and her daughter is the same as me. We're part of the LGBT.
Right.
And it's just like, how do you, I don't know. I just don't know how
Kenny,
you
I want to
wrap
tell
your
you
mind
something.
around.
First of all, let me tell you, I'm very sorry that you're having to deal with this family member. But I'm going to tell you, sadly, you're not alone. If you listen to this show, you know a lot of people call into this show and talk about how they've lost family members, not because they've lost their lives. They've lost family members because they're so far gone they can't even talk to them anymore. And Kenny, you sound like a really reasonable guy, and it's sad. And when I say look at the damage that Donald Trump has done to this country, I'm not even necessarily talking just from a policy standpoint. I'm talking about a standpoint of friendships, family members, people that can't even talk to other family members, not because we're just angry people and we're repulsed and we can't. It's because there are people in our family or close friends of ours that seem to condone the attacks on the LGBTQ community. They seem to condone the attacks on transgenders. They seem to be okay with the rally that took place at MSG the other day when they went after black people, Jews. They went after all sorts of different people in the crayon box. How can we, as family members or friendships, keep those people in our lives when we know we have nothing in common with them? And it's very disheartening to hear me say that. But at the same time, Kenny, I'm glad that there are people like you out there. And what can we do except go to the ballot box and vote, right, Kenny?
Exactly. And to bring up that point on the racism, I've always looked at it. I grew up in a Republican household, and when I got out of that household and could see things for myself, my views changed tremendously. But in terms of the racism, it's like, why would you, not associate with somebody just because of the color of their skin?
Because they're
lose out
bigots,
on
Kenny. Because they're bigots, they're racist, and I'm going to repeat this once again, Kenny, because I think it's important. Which is, that is Donald Trump's base. I've never said everybody who supports Donald Trump is a racist. I've never said everybody who supports Donald Trump is a bigot. That is Donald Trump's base. Bigots, racist, uneducated, ill-informed people that are hateful people. Kenny, I'm sorry you're going through what you're going through, but let's hope that it'll all be over soon, and let's hope that we get the result we want come Election Day. And I am so glad you called, and I am so glad I have listeners like you out there. I say it every day. I am humbled by that. The people who call into this show that are good, hardworking Americans, educated people. We had someone from Puerto Rico who just called into the show. We had Kenny who just called in, who sadly lost family members, not because of death, but because of up here, because of who they're supporting and their bigotry. But I'm glad you are on the right side of history, Kenny, and we're going to keep the fight up, my man. Let's keep the fight. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I have some free tickets to give away. Lev Parnas is doing a screening of his documentary tonight in Las Vegas. He's going to be signing some books, and I have some free tickets to give away next. So if you want to call into this show next and you want an opportunity, 702-221-7283. If you live here in Las Vegas and you want free tickets to Lev Parnas' event, we're going to talk about it coming up next. We have a special guest who's going to be talking about it as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
In these uncertain times, we need a leader who puts policy over politics.
I'm Ron Quince. I am beyond the bickering and what we see today. I am running to fight for your values, faith, family, and freedom.
Ron Quince stands for safe borders, lower taxes, and lower prices.
Let's take our country back, one community, one vote at a time. I am Ron Quince, and I'm asking for your vote because every vote matters. I am Ron Quince, and I approve this message.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
Message.
Shelley Berkeley, a proud Las Vegan who shatters barriers, becoming the first in her family to attend college, and served as UNLV's student body president, serving in the Nevada legislature, the University Board of Regents, and 7 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives. Shelley excelled as the senior VP of the Touro University system. Shelley Berkeley, a dedicated mother and family woman. Shelley has the experience we need as our next mayor. Shelley gets things done.
Paid for by Shelley Berkeley for mayor.
Hello, I'm Ron Quince, and I'm running for Congress as a nonpartisan candidate in District 1. I'm dedicated to serving our entire community. In this challenging time, it's more important than ever to have leaders who focus on unity and progress. I believe in putting people over politics and finding practical solutions that benefit us all. Never stop believing in America, no matter our troubles and turmoil. We can and we will do better. We must be brave. Stop voting for those politicians who care about their career and gaining power but don't improve our lives. I believe in America and I believe in you. You need a candidate who believes in policy over party because you deserve better. In Nevada, every voice matters. I humbly ask for your vote this coming election, November 5th. To learn how we can create a better America, please visit quincefornevada.com. Paid for by Ron Quince for Congress.
Complete Family Care in Henderson is open. No waiting, just walk in, see the doctor right away, have your blood and x-rays done on site, and so call them today at 702-747-7770. Fall allergy season is here. Get a 3-month allergy shot for $120. 3 months of allergy relief for just $120. Complete Family Care accepts all major insurances and Medicare, so visit us today at cfchenderson.com. That's cfchenderson.com, or call them at 702-747-7770. That's 747-7770.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Great phone calls, by the way. Phenomenal phone calls, as always, on this show. I wouldn't expect anything any different. So I had the opportunity to meet Lev Parnas for the first time in person yesterday. He came on this show, and it was so cool to just meet him. I had dinner with him last night, and without giving away what was said in a private conversation, I'll say this. It was probably the best political conversation I have ever had in my life, and I've met a lot of interesting people, prominent people. Lev is such a smart guy, and he's met so many people in his lifetime, so it was really cool. And Lev is in Vegas. And to talk to us a little bit about why Lev is here, I wanted to give my friend Snowden the opportunity, who is a promoter who has done radio herself for years, to tell us why Lev is in town. Snowden, thank you so much for being here. What is the company you work for, by the way?
Myself. I am an independent producer, actually.
Very cool.
Yeah,
and you have
Bishop
a radio.
Arts and Media.
I like that. And you have a radio background. So you're working with Lev. He's in Las Vegas. Tell me about it.
So it's Shadow Diplomacy is the book that he wrote.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, it is a tell-all of his experiences with Donald Trump, because he was an insider for quite a while. And in fact, he's the person who was sent by Donald Trump with Rudy Giuliani to dig up dirt on the Biden family, as you know.
Right.
And what he witnessed at every corner of the Trump administration was just corruption galore. So in his book, he actually outlines a lot of the things that happened, what led up to it, the syndicate of Russian mobsters who were working with him to try to give him access over there. How he helped to get the ambassador fired, Yovanovitch, which was really a tragedy. How he was able to get all of this inside access over there, but he found absolutely nothing to implicate the Biden family. And so I know that you talked yesterday, I believe, about the film From Russia with Lev. So when he met with Hunter Biden and had this apology, it was the most profound moment, because here's a guy whose life he said, I ruined your life. And Biden is forgiving him, which I thought was handling it with such grace, really such grace.
Right.
But anyway, the book is phenomenal.
It really is. It really is. And I'm just amazed at getting to know Lev, because he's done this show multiple times, but being able to spend time with you and him last night. And he's just a wonderful man. Nobody's perfect. He's made his mistakes, and he's paid tenfold for it. But the work that he has done, whether it be testifying in front of Congress, being honest with the American people, doing interviews, being so forthcoming, to me, and this is just my personal opinion, there'll be a lot of reasons. If Kamala Harris wins, there'll be a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah.
Lev is going to be a big part of that. People like Lev Parnas are going to, I really believe that.
I think so.
And it's taken a lot of courage to do what he's done. And with that being said, moving forward, a lot's on the line for Lev, too, in this election. There's a lot on the line for all of us.
For all of us.
But especially for somebody like Lev, who fears for his safety and his family's safety.
And he's on the retribution list.
Right.
I'm sure you're well aware of that.
No question.
Ivan Reichlen and Michael Flynn, they've pulled out. There are a lot of people who were involved with Lev as well as the media. A lot of Rachel Maddow is one of them. A lot of the people in Congress that Lev actually testified with during the hearings for the Biden impeachment, which basically exonerated Joe Biden of any kind of impeachment. Put the kibosh on that real quick.
Yeah, no question about that. And Snowden, it's incredible to me that we are still living in a time, in a place where they'll try to, what's the word I'm looking for? They'll say Lev doesn't have credibility. By the way, I think Lev has a ton of credibility, for the record.
He comes with receipts.
But yet, of course, Don Jr., Eric Trump, Michael Flynn, the Steve Bannons of the world, they'll put credence and credibility to these people.
Yeah.
And yet Donald Trump says, Oh, no, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who Lev is. I mean, Lev personally has showed me, I don't think he'd mind me saying this, photographs with Donald Trump, tons of photographs with Donald Trump. This is a man who's been in the Oval Office with Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump. I can go further, but I won't. But obviously, all these people know who Lev Parnas is. They were close to Lev,
of course
like
they
the Rudy
do.
Giulianis
of course
of the world,
they
right?
do. Yeah, there's no question. And when he turned over all of that evidence, when he was first arrested and then released, and he was waiting for his trial, he spilled the beans to Rachel Maddow in that 2019 interview, which, by the way, was the highest rated of all MSNBC's history of interviews. But also at that same time, he turned over volumes of evidence to the impeachment committee in Congress, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure that a lot of what he had in there led to the impeachment. In fact, at least 10 major pieces of evidence led to the impeachment of Donald Trump.
Yes.
So, and that's the ultimate irony, too, because he wasn't allowed to testify because the Senate was actually in the hands of Senate, which was Republican at that time. And so they didn't want any witnesses because they knew that they would have no choice but to convict in the impeachment hearing.
Right.
But the ultimate irony is, here we are years later, and he did get to testify finally in front of Congress, but it was to exonerate Joe Biden with the same set of evidence. So
no question. And, Lev is not the only one. Luckily, there are others, as I would call them, very brave people that have come forward, those that have been in Donald Trump's administration, whether it be the Stephanie Grishams, right? Whether it be Republicans like Adam Kinzinger or Jeff Duncan, people that have actually worked in Donald Trump's, Olivia Troy is another name that comes to mind. And I'm
Stephanie Winston Wyckoff.
Yes. I'm very grateful for all of these people like Lev, and I'll even be more grateful if we get the result that we want. Can you give out some information on how people could get Lev's book and any other information?
So we have the book for sale. There's a hardcover and a soft cover. It's at levremembers.com. So just levremembers.com. Look for us on any of the social media with hashtag #LevRemembers. You should be able to pull up some information. But levremembers.com is where the book is available. And then also, if you are interested in the event, we have tickets are available at the space.com/events, and it's if you look at Shadow Diplomacy and Evening with Lev Parnas, you'll see it there. And so that's for the event.
Great.
Yeah.
And I will support you and support Lev. Anybody who's working with Lev, I will always support you guys. I am so grateful for Lev. He's such a wonderful man. And I look forward to even working with you guys more in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I'm really thank you for being here, and I look forward to tonight. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and we'll do it again.
Yeah.
And I want to remind all, and also I want to thank my guests today. My goodness, besides yourself, Snowden, Vivica A. Fox joined us earlier today, and she's supporting Kamala Harris. I'm so grateful for her friendship. Just a wonderful person. And Ryan Sheed, who has a huge platform on social media, and he was nice enough to join us as well. Here we are now. I can't believe it. 1 week away from the elections. We are 1 week away. And just for the record, for the listeners out there, I am working on a very special election night coverage. I don't know if that'll be in Las Vegas. We're still working on it. Could be in New York, but we're working on that as well. And I look forward to seeing you and Lev tonight. We're going to have a great time, everybody. Thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate it.
Thank you to all of my listeners for being here. Check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. Again, the website, pushingthelimits.live. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody.
In these uncertain times, we need a leader who puts policy over politics.
I'm Ron Quince. I am beyond the bickering and what we see today. I am running to fight for your values, faith, family, and freedom.
Ron Quince stands for safe borders, lower taxes, and lower prices.